So I have questions for you, and I am so excited to
Yes.
talk with you about stuff. But I do want to start with an icebreaker. I was wondering this right
Okay.
before we started, and so my icebreaker question for you, since you are the writer and director of an animated short film, is I want to know
Mhm.
what your favorite animated movie is.
Oh my God. It's Whisper of the Heart. Yeah, it's one of the Ghibli films. It's called Whisper of the Heart. I'm also a huge fan of Ratatouille. And
Yes.
in terms of animated series, I'm a huge fan of Sailor Moon from the 90s because I'm a late 90s kid. So basically it was the thing that got me to animation in the first place. And Fantasia. There's too many. Hang on. Maybe you asked only one question. One movie. Let me say right now, I would say it's Whisper of the Heart.
Whisper of the Heart. All right. Excellent
Yeah.
choice. Nice,
Yeah.
nice,
Have you
nice.
seen
So
that one?
I have not seen it yet, but now I'm going
Mhm.
to. If you're recommending it,
I would
I
recommend it. It's so good. It is so, so good.
very cool. I'm bookmarking it now. Whisper of the Heart.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right.
Yours? What is
Let's
yours?
talk. What's
Sorry.
that?
I was gonna say, what is yours?
What's mine? My favorite animated movie. I decided this a little bit ago, but I think it's The Iron Giant, 1990,
Oh, that's a
1999.
great choice. Excellent
Yeah.
choice.
Yes,
Excellent.
I every time I watch that movie, I have to like stop myself from like tearing up. It's so good and so just wonderful. But obviously there's a lot of, as you were mentioning, there's a lot of great movies. You said Ratatouille, that is certainly one of my favorites. The Toy Story franchise.
Oh my
Um
gosh, yeah, of course. Yeah. We
yes,
can
a lot.
we can miss that. Yeah.
Yes, of course. So lots of great storytelling and animation, which is one of the reasons why I'm really excited that you're in that space and that you're doing great things with that medium yourself. Um,
Mhm.
I am going to do my best to gush about how much I enjoyed Starling without giving
Oh my
too much
gosh.
away.
Thank you.
I really liked watching this movie, this
Oh
short film. It's so well done. Um, for those who are wondering, like, what is this short film that I am so excited about? Can you tell people a little bit about what Starling is about?
Sure. By the way, is this recorded as
This
we
is
speak right
recorded.
now?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure. So Starling is about a little star that falls down from the heavens, actually runs down and tries to make it home on her birthday because it's the spirit of a little girl. So yeah, that the short started in 2018 when I lost a very, very dear friend of mine in a very untimely manner. And then after that, I just started drawing and drawing and drawing, and I just couldn't make sense of this tragedy. And I couldn't do anything other than just draw about it. I drew her. I drew little stories about this crazy event, and eventually I started drawing this little star because I kept imagining her as a little star. Well, it started with her, but then it became my own questionings about what does it mean to be alive? What does it mean to be on Earth? What does it mean for us to want to connect with our loved ones when we can't? So the origination was from that event, that life event, and it kind of snowballed into my own explorations of what was it like to be a kid in Istanbul at that time in the 90s? What was it like to do all the things and run around on the streets and ride a bicycle on the streets and all? So it was just it was like a love letter to my childhood and her childhood and how determined she was overall. She was a drop of sunshine, no matter the day of mood. She was just like a wonderful, fun, happy person. So I just wanted to honor her memory and remember her that way too. You're not gone. She's not gone. So yeah, that's
That's
how the movie started.
Wow, it's such an interesting background to hear about this movie because I see so much of that weaved into the fabric of how this short film unfolds. I
Mhm.
mean it's such a heartwarming but also a hopeful film, and I really appreciated that about the movie because it's adventurous, but I also spent the first time I watched it, a lot of time wondering like what's going to happen, how's this going to end, is it a happy ending, and there's just but at the same time, we're wandering around the streets of Istanbul, and it's magical.
Mhm.
It's so cool. The Starling is getting its world premiere at Tribeca. Um,
Yes,
how excited are you about
I'm so
this
excited.
being exhibited there?
It's so unreal to me because that was the first festival acceptance that we heard from. And when they called me, I was just like, "Are you serious? That's the first festival that accepted us is Tribeca," and I was very over the moon by that news. So I'm so proud of the team. I'm so proud of what we accomplished and the leadership on the team, every single artist and animator and all the sweats and like tears that we spent over the pandemic actually
Right.
working on the movie just kind of felt like okay, Whoopi Goldberg liked our movie and
Yes.
so I feel extremely proud. I wish I could share this moment when we go. I mean, it's in a couple of weeks. I wish I could share that moment with everybody. And like the team is huge. I wish we could just be there like a big rap party, but we as many as people as possible are going to be there from our team, just like a handful. So
That's
I'm
pretty cool.
excited.
I mean, I was looking, so the press notes say, made remotely by a global community of over 70 diverse artists and animators from 14 different countries. Like,
Yeah.
wow, that is quite the
Oh,
team.
I
Tell me
know.
about that experience with like assembling this team and working remotely and pandemic and all of that stuff. Let's talk about that part of this production.
Yeah. So I started boarding it in 2018
Okay.
after work, like by myself. And I joined I joined with Jess Height, who's an excellent producer, wonderful human being, and just like so kind and so full of grit. So we joined together and we're like, let's make this movie. For about like a year, I was exploring the story. I was trying to like make something out of all these ideas that I had. It's just like, okay, what am I trying to say? What is my goal? And then 2019, 2020, we're like, okay, I think we're ready to animate. Let's start. And pandemic happens. So we're like, okay, well, what do we do now? And then we started going on Zoom and we teamed up with Holger Leiha, who is an excellent animation supervisor and he works at Pixar. And we teamed up with Andy Jimenez, who's an amazing director of photography, also composer. And at the time, we teamed up with Michael O'Brien, and then we teamed up with Chris Landis. There's so many key people like Celine Yu, Aisha Arkala. There were so many key people from Pixar was in the leadership team. So when we joined, all of us, and then we were like, let's make it, and the pandemic hit, Holger started reaching out to people in his network, and I started reaching out to people in my network. And our premise was just like, hey guys, we're making a movie in our free time. We have no money. It's an indie project. We're doing this after work. Do you want to join us? And we can't offer any money, but we get to work together and like do stuff. If you're interested, if you're passionate about it, if you have any cycles, if you have any time, do you want to join? And a lot of people said yes. And it just the premise of it being a passion project really pulled people together. And there were no deadlines. Obviously, we're just like do whatever you can. Deadlines kind of started coming when we were trying to finish it up. We're like, can we kind of do things in like 2 months, maybe? It was just like that kind of a process. We're like, okay, we're wrapping things up now. There's a deadline, but in the beginning there was nothing like that. It was just like as you can, no pressure. And there were some excellent artists that joined us. I reached out to a team of people in Turkey as well because I was like, hey guys, I don't know you, but I love your work and this movie is set in Istanbul. You want to hop on? And a lot of people agreed. And I just made so many friends that way. And other people made friends with each other too. And we just kind of built this lightning in a bottle community that I found to be extremely inspiring. I wish I could do this again. It's when I think back to this experience, I'm like, it was such a special moment in creating any kind of art. So yeah, that's how it
It's
happened.
it sounds inspiring. Like I'm listening to this and thinking, well, here's a movie. This is a movie I want to see, like the story of making this movie.
Oh,
That's
thank
pretty
you.
That's really awesome that you were able to kind of be really like a self-starter in this and just pull together some of the best resources that you had access to, and even resources that you weren't connected with. Like you just made it happen and it turned out so good.
I mean,
Um,
I wish I could take credit. I didn't, honestly. It was just the team who reached out to their network. Like, I mean,
mhm,
Holger would talk to so many people and, kind of pitch this idea. And that's how we had a lot of animators working on our project. I mean, I don't know half of them, so
mhm.
it was just kind of saying, Holger sent an email saying, this amazing animator just joined us. We're like, excuse me, this person joined us. Oh my God, I would get on a meeting. I'm like, I'm a fan. I'm a fan. Thank you so much.
That's funny. Well, you all made it happen and it turned out really good. I was scoping out Instagram and the pages and seeing some behind the scenes kind of videos and content and stuff. And it was interesting. I think there was like a get together that you guys did with the team, and then a bakery
Yeah.
replicated the cake from the movie. And
Yeah,
I
I
just
had that cake made because I was just like, okay, well, during this event that we get together to just kind of think about what we've done in the as the movie. Let's honor the people that we've loved and lost, and kind of cut this cake in their honor and celebrate their life.
that's so cool. That's so cool. Yes, I guess everything about this whole project just seems really magical. I do want to know, so you mentioned kind of about the pandemic and how that, kind of threw a wrench in things, but also kind of it made things happen as far as reaching out globally. But in making this film, what do you think was the biggest challenge in making an animated film and writing and directing it yourself?
Well, the biggest challenge for me was the story, to be
Mhm.
honest. It's a very sensitive story, and it's a very sensitive topic, and it's extremely difficult to talk about. And I wanted to talk about it in a celebratory way for the actual person that I was thinking of, and I wanted to keep celebrating their life, and that was very difficult to do because I was sad all the time, and that was very challenging to like kind of find the 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 spirit of hope in this whole thing. And I got inspired from her a lot because she was full of hope all the time. So I was just like, how can I bring that feeling and put that to paper? And it was my first time professionally directing,
Mhm.
because I had done student film before, but
Mhm.
this was like I'm working with pros on this movie, and I had to just kind of step up and be like, okay, let's see how we can tell a story and kind of keep it cohesive, keep it short, but not too short. And working with other people was the best part of it. Challenge wise, it was, we had so many characters to animate. It was long
Yeah.
hand animated the whole thing, and there were 3D elements of it. And honestly, the individual leaders kind of took every problem and found solutions. Every now and then I'd be like, how did we do that? I'm like, oh, that's right, these guys are pros, of course they did. It was just like, this is a leadership at Pixar, yes, of course.
That's very cool. Um, let's talk a little bit about your connections with Pixar because you've worked on a couple Pixar projects, correct?
Yes, yes.
Maybe this is just a part where I'd like to hear more about your career and how you got into animation, how you got connected with Pixar, and like what your career is looking like with that.
Yeah, so I went to Academy Art in San Francisco, and from there I graduated and I made a student film. I had no portfolio, I just had a film. So I started applying to places, and I got into a gaming studio and I worked there for a while. And after, I mean, I had a great time there. The people were amazing. And after that, I started applying for other kind of freelance jobs so I can focus on my story portfolio. And then I created a story portfolio, and I ended up working with this incredible director called Brenda Chapman. I worked with her for about 5 years, 5 months, not years. wish it was years, 5 months. And from there, I was showing my portfolio to a really good friend of mine at Pixar, and she referred me to the studio, and I got lucky enough to be cast on the project, Luca. And I have been there ever since. It's been 2017 until today.
That's so cool. Congratulations on the progression of your
Thank
career
you.
and really just making incredible strides in this animation space and storytelling and like in building your career. Um that is really cool to see and hear about that development.
Mhm.
In relationship to Starling, one of the biggest questions that I have really is how writing and directing Starling, what you may have learned about yourself as a filmmaker, or maybe the biggest thing that you learned about yourself as a filmmaker in making this short film.
Biggest thing I learned is that I can't do anything alone. I need a team. So that's the biggest thing. Actually, I already knew that. Specifically throughout Starling, I learned that um, it's um it's a good idea to really know what you're talking about when you're making a movie. And if you don't, then ask and gather as much information as possible. Write down your story instead of just drawing it, which I've done a lot. I just kind of start and draw and draw and draw. But I think I want to talk about hard to talk about topics. I'm more interested in things that are, people don't speak about. It's taboo. We're afraid of upsetting people. We're afraid of touching something that shouldn't be touched. But the truth is, I mean, I worked on a live action movie at the same time that just wrapped as well a couple of months ago, and that movie also deals with really hard to talk about topics. And I'm like, that's kind of the movie I want to watch. I want to watch things I don't necessarily know a lot of knowledge about. Obviously, I want to work on and make things that I do know. But if I don't want to watch a movie that in the end I'm the same person, I guess. So that's why that's how I came to learn about me. It's like if it's not hard to talk about, I don't want to make it, I guess.
This is, I think, one of the things that really draws me to like particularly Pixar movies, because I think that's something that happens in Pixar movies a lot, is where they inject these really sensitive themes, but in very tactful and very emotional ways. Honestly, watching Starling, I feel like those Pixar vibes in storytelling through that, and it's amazing. It's really great when you can pull that off. Kind of like what I was saying earlier, as I'm wondering how is this story going to end, and it really does have this really hopeful and magical way of playing out. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed the experience.
I really appreciate you saying that. Thank you.
Yeah, it's great. Drawing sounds like such a passion for you. I was before we logged in, I was looking through your Instagram and just looking at your drawings, and now talking with you, it sounds like it's such a source of joy, something you enjoy doing, but also kind of a thing for a therapeutic thing, something that really just like helps get your ideas and feelings out about things. I think your most recent Instagram post was about being a mother.
Yeah.
Tell me
Yeah, I
more
just had a
about.
baby.
Yeah, it was such a great. It's such a cool drawing, and I'm gonna follow you
Oh,
so that I
thank
can keep
you.
seeing your stuff. Tell me
Oh
more
my
about.
gosh.
No, it's awesome, really. Tell me more about you and drawing, and like where you find your source of inspiration for just the doodles that you decide to put together.
Just, well, it's my own life and the life of people I love. And that's my really source of inspiration. I'm not necessarily reaching too far out and wide. And I was lucky enough to come from far away already. So I have a little bit of a knowledge about like things outside of my bubble at the moment. So that's kind of where I draw everything from. Like sometimes I sit and think about my grandpa who was in Iran back in the day. So and I'm just thinking about how that life might have been and how I relate to it and how I relate to it when I did see him. And that's just an example. But to me, drawing is a way of putting into paper things I can't write exactly. Because I mean, with the post about being a mother, it's like I could say like, you know, cradling my daughter in the middle of the night. Like I could write it, and some people do an amazing job with that, and that's why they're writers. And for me, it's just like I need to just draw this out because I can't say it. And sometimes it's too difficult to say. Sometimes you get choked up when you have like an emotion so strong. It's like you get choked up, you can't say it into words. So you're just like, I'm gonna do a drawing of it, and then it's okay, you know. And that's kind of
Right.
how Starling came about as well.
That's so cool.
Thank
Yeah, I love this conversation. This is just a
you.
really awesome time, just like getting into the mind of a creative, of an artist, and really like learning what the world looks like through your perspective. It's so cool. And just one more question for you. Is there anything that you want people, audiences to know about you, to know about your film or your career, or any like last thoughts that you'd like to put out there as your film goes out to the world?
Oh, I mean, about me, I'm not sure, but overall, it's about I would love people to like check out the work of the artists that worked on Starling. I would love for the artists to be highlighted as much as possible. I'm gonna start like a series of posts like to show everybody's work once the movie comes out.
Yeah.
But there are so many talented artists around the world, so many, so many, and the industry is very in a kind of like a difficult situation at the moment.
Mhm.
But I would just love to get an opportunity for to work with everybody who worked on Starling again. And I just hope that when people watch Starling, they'll be curious about who drew that, who did this animation, who did that, and then go to the website, go check out the Instagram and see who we follow.
Mhm.
Because you'll see, I mean, you'll see all the art of the people and all the animations, and there's so much that went in it. So that's what I would love.
That's really cool. Well, congratulations on your film getting into Tribeca and
Thank
having
you,
its world
Thomas.
premiere there. I'm wishing the best for your career, for you, for the film, for all the artists that were a part of it. And just I've watched the short a couple times. It's so good, and I just really believe that you're going to do great things in this space of
Oh my
storytelling
gosh. Thank
and
you
animation.
for saying that. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Thomas, for
Yes.
taking the time to talk to me.